Okay, so we will be continuing further. So as we discussed, jQuery will ease the developer's functionality, but later on in ES5, let me show you. So in ES5 we have came up with these features, ES5 and ES6. So there may be a lot of things you can find here, but all are simple. You need to understand. For example, JSON parse, JSON stringify. Earlier JSON parse is not there before ES5, frankly speaking. You can't do that type conversion of an JSON object. So for that we are using jQuery. You understand? So here we have JSON parse, JSON stringify, these all those things. Earlier we didn't had it in JavaScript. Okay, for that we were using jQuery. Where in jQuery, so they have written some user-defined functions where that we are using $.parse like that we are having. But from ES5 onwards, you may be using this one, but it is not jQuery or something. It is JavaScript. Okay, so these are all features. This may take at least it's less than 1 hour. Within 1 hour itself, you can understand if you are already familiar with JavaScript. Maybe as you all are working from long period, so definitely you would have come across all these index of, last index, these all those things. So it will be very easy for you if you look into these all features. Try to complete in 1 or 2 hours. If you are starting with SPFX, then these all things at least you should have knowledge. I am not expecting the expertise, just at least what is JSON.parse. So you should be able to understand what is map, what is filter, reduce. Okay, this is mandatory to start with the SPFX. And so next we need to have knowledge on TypeScript. Apart from what I have shown, the ES5 and ES6 features, you need to have knowledge on TypeScript, React. Okay, Angular is not mandatory here. So not only Angular, you can use Knockout also. Any other third-party library you can use for SPFX development. Okay, but you need to have knowledge on TypeScript also. So what is TypeScript? TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript. Okay, so the problem with JavaScript is, did you ever see in some of the websites, even if you are filling application forms for your jobs or applying as a fresher, you will be coming to see that the form will be stuck somewhere. It won't proceed unless you refresh and do something. It won't work. The reason is JavaScript is not an error-free programming language. JavaScript is not a strongly typed programming language. Okay, so during the compilation, JavaScript won't give any issue. If there is any typecasting issues or something, JavaScript won't worry about it. If the syntax is correct, then it will execute. But during the runtime, you will end up with lot of errors in JavaScript. Okay, so to avoid that, TypeScript came into the picture. So what is TypeScript? TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript designed by the Microsoft. Okay, if you know TypeScript, you can also you will become very familiar with the Angular also, because Angular also using the TypeScript extensively. Okay, even TypeScript you can use even in React also. So you can forget about JavaScript. JavaScript is the base framework here, but the programming language which you are using in either React or in Angular or any other where is TypeScript. Even without TypeScript also you can write the program. Okay, for example React. What is the extension of React file is .jsx. Okay, if you are using JavaScript, JSX. If you are using TypeScript, TSX. That's it. So TypeScript is not mandatory, but if you use TypeScript, it will help the developer to build the error-free programming languages. To avoid the runtime, I will tell you what is the example. In JavaScript, you will be defining a variable called var a. For the a, you can give a string, you can give a boolean, you can give a number, correct? Okay, it won't worry about the typecasting what you are doing. But during the calculations, if any mistake is there, then it will throw a runtime error saying that, so this primitive value issue, something it will give. This cannot be, so it will end up with something. Okay, so to avoid that one, TypeScript came into the picture. In TypeScript, you need to define the variable with the type. Okay, for example, var or let. Let is a new keyword which is introduced in ES6. Okay, so that differences we will see later. What is the difference between var and let? It is a separate concept. Okay. If you use the let, so how you will be writing the defining the variable in TypeScript means let a. Here you need to mention what is this type. Okay, and what is it's a number or array or string or boolean. This all you need to define. It's not mandatory to define, but you should give at least some data type. If you are not aware that what is the kind of source of data you are going to pass to this, then you can define any. These are all will come under the TypeScript. So are you clear on this part now? Okay. So to proceed with the SPFX, so we need to have knowledge on JavaScript. Okay. Forget about jQuery. If you are not aware on that, ignore it. You need to have knowledge on JavaScript. JavaScript is a client-side programming language used to write programs for browser. Okay, but we are not going to use JavaScript extensively in our SPFX. What we are going to use? TypeScript. Understand? Okay, if you want to understand TypeScript, then definitely you need to have knowledge on this ES5 and ES6 features. Clear? Okay, it is very easy to learn if you spend 1 or 2 hours. That's it. Don't waste more time on this. Okay, and so now we are aware of TypeScript. So what is TypeScript? Only one thing you need to remember. TypeScript will not do magic here. TypeScript will force the developer. In the name itself it is that type. It is fully typecasting programming language. It is just a superset of JavaScript, where in JavaScript you will write the variables without the type. Okay, but in TypeScript it will force you to define the type. Why? Because during the runtime, okay, if there is some calculation, imagine a plus b calculation is there. Okay, see here, a plus b is there. Or a into b. Let me take an example. Let C equal to a into b. In JavaScript, we won't get any error. But in TypeScript, if you write like this, right, then it will, not compile itself. First of all, you need to understand one thing. Why TypeScript is famous means it will avoid the runtime issues during the development itself. In the Gulf build or Gulf server itself, it will not force the program to continue further. What it will do, this typecasting is not compatible for this calculation. Such kind of issues it will force. Clear? Okay, so that's it. Just don't keep anything in mind. TypeScript is used to force your variables for some type, okay, which is needed for calculation or something. And then, so with the help of TypeScript, we will be writing the code in the React or Angular. So for SPFX, we will be choosing React as the framework. Okay, and you can see here, this is the trend, Google Trends, you can see. As per the latest statistics, so React is having more trend in the market. If you see 92%, you can see, when compared to the other things. And this is about the web frameworks which is being used in the industry so far by February 2021. Okay. Now, as per Stack Overflow survey, you can see the importance of React. After jQuery, React is the most famous one. You can ask, why can't you use jQuery in your SPFX? Yes, you can use. Okay, but the problem with jQuery is you can inject your own JS into this one. Then easily it will be corrupted. Okay, but React is not like that. You can't predict that what is the function name React is using. I'll tell you a simple thing. So imagine I have one PF website. I will show the practical example, EPFO. Imagine I will be sending a climb request. Here, are you able to see this line of code? Verify account last 4 digit. Okay, you are able to see that what is this function. Clear? Okay. And with this you can go, by going to the sources, you can able to see what is that function contains. Okay, because these people have used jQuery in the background. I have manipulated something because I was not able to submit due to some restrictions. Then I was able to change that function itself actually. Okay, what is that one, right? So they have done some mistake wantedly. They don't want people to claim the amount. The application is working actually, but wantedly they have removed some, they have added one more cell here which is hidden. This is a table, you can see here how many columns are there, 6. But when I am doing this or not here, after verifying it will take you to somewhere, there it will show 10 columns. Okay, there in 10 columns it will be asking one information, your Aadhaar number, Aadhaar details. When I am saving, it is giving an error, your Aadhaar is not valid. Okay, so then I understand why I am giving the right ID, but still it is not allowing for validation. Then when I check the code like this, what I found is, it was trying to get the particular cell's value as Aadhaar number. But those people have wantedly added one additional column, TD, okay, and they have made it hidden. So now how jQuery will behave? It will try to catch the next cell as Aadhaar ID. The date of birth as Aadhaar ID it is trying to get. Then it is giving the validation field. Then what I have done, right? From the console I have removed that column. Okay? From the console I have removed the column. Then it was able to validate. Then I am able to submit the request. Did you understand? Okay. So what is the problem with jQuery? You can easily able to inject your external JS into the site. But don't worry about the security part. Security part will be definitely controlled because they will be using access tokens in their system. So they will know who have done this change. But that facility what they are providing is not correct. Yes or no? Okay. So that is the reason people are avoiding the jQuery nowadays in the system. Earlier jQuery's usage is only till the client side displaying, validation, all those things. Now later on what happened? These all web pages started using fully on client side. Did you observe the Facebook over the period of times? Earlier it was not that much not responsive in the sense, not about the design I am talking about. When you click something, okay, they are without refreshing the page itself, without doing any action on the page, the particular request is sending to the server. But in the initial days it is not like that. Okay, because the technology is not evaluated like that. It was not evolved in such a way. So over the period of time when the technology is growing, so the usage of this client side technology also changed. If you see now, you take any of the websites, PDF editors or any websites, all things will be happening in the, did you ever seen the income tax website? All things will be happening in the front end itself. But it will be touching the background, you need to understand. The action will be happening in the back end only. But the more control is on the client side. So that is the reason. Are you clear on this, what I am talking about? So we should not encourage this kind of scripting. That's the reason people, now what I can do? Tell me. I'll tell you what we can just do here, injection, what I am talking about. Go to the console. See what happened? See, I am not saying it is a security threat, but it is a facility of, it's an issue with their facility what they are providing, correct? So if you are able to do these small things, why can't you do even more things? For example, you will have the access token in your login. With the access token, you can able to access other API in that particular service. So then there is it's a facility which is not provided in a right way. So to avoid, did you understand what is this is called? Tell me. The whatever facility what I have used here is called code injection. external JavaScript code injection. Did you observe? So that is the reason. Even if you see, what is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS? HTTPS will provide you the additional security on your website. Or else what will happen, right? Any hacker can enter into your website and he can write anything which he needed on your website without your permission. But if you have HTTPS, there will be a security layer on top of it which will break them to enter. Okay, in recent times, so this Pakistan, hackers have been hacked the Ministry of Affairs, some website itself, Indian. They have made something on that one. So due to some security certificate is expired, during that time they have attacked it. Okay, so I'm not saying HTTPS also will provide certificate until they can able to crack that one. Okay, so that's the reason the certificate will be changing frequently, HTTPS certificates, and it will have expiry date, all those things. Okay, so what is the reason for going into the TypeScript, going away from jQueries to avoid cross-site external JavaScript injection. Okay, how it can be made means, this is one of the example which I have done here. So if you are able to display the alert, why can't you copy other service from other place and why can't you hit it? As you have the account, access token with your website. Clear? Okay. Next, React, these all, you can see here, these all people are not using jQuery. For example, React, Angular, I'm taking only these two, or Vue. Even if you see Angular or Angular.js, why they have given the name like that? Earlier, Angular.js also using the concept of the programming as like jQuery. Later they realized that there is issue with our pattern, so that's the reason Angular have changed their way of programming and they came up with the version called Angular. Okay, so even React also there is two frameworks, React.js, React. But React don't have any security concern in both places, because React will be defining, if you see any of the other websites we can take which is built on the React, you can't see, for example, let me show one of the example which we have already. Site pages. Let's take this example. Are you able to see the on-click function of this button? No, correct? But on-click function is there. But why it is not happening? Why it is not showing here? Because React have controlled it. Try to understand. I will show you this code also. Okay, we have written this one in React. It's a button. Without on-click it won't work. Some validation is working. It means that some on-click event is there for that. Correct? Yes or no? Okay. But why it is not displaying? That is what the facility React is and Angular, all those people are providing. They are trying to control, find the facility what we are doing earlier in jQuery. Clear? Okay. So this is what the main difference between jQuery and other libraries. Okay. Now let me proceed with other things. Okay, so SPFX introduction, we will be looking into the SPFX introduction. So you need to understand, so why SPFX is needed. So there is a definition, like you can see here, this is the definition, but you need to understand SPFX is fully built. Now Microsoft have changed their way of licensing. Earlier Microsoft is not open source. Okay, but from last 4 to 5 years, Microsoft have made their entire applications as open source. Not entire application, their way of development model, they have get it into the open source. Why? Because earlier they were only limited for Windows. Because of that, they are losing. Excuse me. Hello. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.